God was guiding him. He just left there without any hesitation. And it says there that those who do the same thing with Abraham has the faith of Abraham. Has the faith of Abraham. So, if all the churches are going to unite, including the Adventist church, will the Adventists give up the Sabbath? Will they give up the Sabbath? Because that's the only way that the image will be formed. So if all the Protestant churches will unite together, are they going to give up the Sabbath? Let's find out. It says here, in Revelation 13, it's in the Bible, Revelation 13, 15 to 16, this is talking about the United States, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That the image of the beast, in other words, the image is another religious body that is united together as one, okay, which is a replica of the Roman Catholic Church, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. In other words, the church will have that power, will urge upon the people to keep the first day of the week. They will do that. They will force you. And if you will not do that, it says there, you will be killed. Those who will not worship. And he caused all both small, and then the United States, of course, is behind it. He caused all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. And if you don't receive that, then you will be killed or be in prison and be put to death. Here in Review and Herald, March 18, 1884, this is a prophecy that God gave to Ellen White, that our own church actually will urge the people to keep Sunday. It says here, the Lord has a controversy with his professed people in these last days. In this controversy, men in responsible positions will take a course directly opposite to that pursued by Nehemiah. Now, who was Nehemiah? Who was Nehemiah? He was a Sabbath reformer. Remember, Nehemiah was a Sabbath reformer? Remember that when the merchants were gathering by the gate of Jerusalem, what did Nehemiah do? He closes the gate before the sunset, making sure that all the merchants cannot go in and sell during the Sabbath. That was Nehemiah. But it says here that men in responsible position, that means the leadership of the church, will take a course directly opposite to that pursued by Nehemiah. They will not only ignore and despise the Sabbath themselves, but they will try to keep it from others by burying it beneath the rubbish of custom and tradition. In churches and in large gatherings, in the open air, ministers will urge upon the people the necessity of keeping the first day of the week. In other words, the pastors, the ministers will urge the members, it's time to keep Sunday now. Are they keeping Sunday now? We went to McAllen, when was that? 2 weeks ago, right? I asked the brother there, Brother Jerry, actually. I told him that because they don't worship, they don't have meetings in the afternoon. Do you know why they don't have meetings in the afternoon? Because the insurance does not cover the members if they stay there in the church. They don't have liability insurance. That's the agreement, actually. That's why the worship is only in the morning. And their EY program was starting from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. That is Sunday worship already, because Sunday begins at sunset, right? So they're beginning to condition the members Sunday.
Why at 8 o'clock?
Why? That's too late already. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Basically, you're already having Sunday worship, or the first day worship, because that's already sunset. Sabbath has passed when sunset is past, right? So that's how Satan is trying to bring people in there. And if you're not able to see that, and you still continue to do it, what's going to happen? You will end up receiving the wrath of God. You don't want that, right? That's why it says here in 7 BC 979, God has a controversy with the churches of today. They are fulfilling the prophecy of John. All nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. You know, nations are churches. We're not talking about the country here of the United States. We're talking about the churches. all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath over fornication. They have divorced themselves from God by refusing to receive his sign. They have not the spirit of God's true commandment keeping people. That means they lost that commandment keeping people. You know, I mean, we can also lose the same thing. We can lose the spirit too, you know, if we are not careful. We go to church in the morning and go back home and spend our time in the bed. I mean, we lost that because the Sabbath is 24 hours. God has given us, well, maybe how many hours of sleep? The truck drivers are only given 10 hours of sleep. So another 14 hours dedicated to the Lord. We can, let's say we'll have 10 hours of sleep. Then the 14 hours for him. But sometimes we don't spend that 14 hours. We spend, I think, maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, and we go back and enjoy